walkability is at the top of your list when searching for your new home in Cincinnati, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the top walkable neighborhoods in Cincinnati so that you can be in a place where you have quick access to things like restaurants and coffee shops and bars and all of that fun stuff. My name is Evan. I'm a local Cincinnati realtor, and today I'm going to be covering some of the top walkable neighborhoods in Cincinnati, and I'll go over some pros and cons of each to help you make a good decision on your next move. All right, so let's start with one of Cincinnati's probably most famous neighborhoods, and that is Over-the-Rhine, or OTR. OTR is full of character and has tons of historic architecture from the 19th century. So it's beautiful just to walk around and take all of that in. But of course, you have so many different restaurants down there. There's some popular ones, of course, like Soto and the Eagle and places like that. But you also have some great bars and breweries like Rheingeist, for example. And of course, you have Findlay Market, which is actually one of the oldest markets, public operated markets in all of Ohio. So it's really neat. And they pretty much have literally anything you could want at Findlay Market, I feel like. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. So some of the pros of living here in OTR, obviously you're gonna have close access to pretty much any restaurant or bar, brewery, coffee shop, anything like that that you could want. But the cons, of course, are gonna be, it gets pretty pricey for homes or condos in this area, or even apartments if you're renting. A one bed, one bath condo, for example, can run you 200, even 220,000, especially if it's been renovated. So definitely keep in mind that it can get a little pricey here. And of course, another con is the parking down here. So there's not going to be a ton of parking options. You can find some street parking, but obviously if you're going to live down here, you'll probably want to end up paying a monthly pass for a parking garage, which could also run you, somewhere between 150 to even 200 plus a month. And I do know that some of the garages, it probably depends on which one that you get a pass for, but some of those garages, even when you pay that monthly fee, you're not even guaranteed a spot. So on Sundays, when there's a Bengals game going on, or even during the week if there's a Reds game going on, you might want to make sure you're already parked before people start coming into town for the game. All right, next up is Hyde Park, and I would say Hyde Park is probably one of the more desirable neighborhoods in all of Cincinnati. The heart of Hyde Park is going to be Hyde Park Square, and that's where you're going to have all of the things like your coffee shops and restaurants and boutiques and things like that. Which, by the way, if you have not tried St. Francis of Pisa, then you definitely should try it. It's some of the best pizza in town, maybe the best. So definitely recommend trying that place out. And I will say this is maybe a little bit of a cheat, because if you live in Hyde Park, you're probably not living like in the square necessarily, so you might have to drive a couple minutes or walk to the square before you get to the area where you can just walk to all these shops and everything like that. But it's definitely a very desirable area, and if you're looking for something where you have quick access to all the shops, or maybe you're someone that just likes to spend a Saturday morning going to like the farmer's market that they put on in the square and just walk around the shops, this is definitely a spot I would consider. Now, the cons of Hyde Park are once again going to be the price. It's going to be even pricier than OTR, especially if you're looking for a home. There are some condos here, but both are going to get very expensive. So some of these newer condos that have been built, I've seen them sell for well over $1 million. One of them even recently sold for just over $2 million. So if you're talking about these new large condos that are basically not even condos at that point, they're going to be a pretty penny. Now you can definitely find some older ones that are like the 175, 200,000 range in Hyde Park. And then as far as homes go, I would expect to spend in general at least 400,000 to 500,000. I'm not saying you can't find something for less than that in this area, but it's probably going to be something that you need to spend some time on and slowly renovate. If it's already had some renovations or just been well maintained, I definitely expect to spend at least that 500,000, and you could easily spend over 1 million in Hyde Park. All right, and number 3 is going to be Oakley. Now, Oakley is a neighborhood that has blown up over the last 5 to 10 years or so. There's been so much development going on there, and I would definitely say parts of it are not something that I would say is walkable. But when you talk about Oakley Square, kind of similar to how Hyde Park has Hyde Park Square, there's definitely a ton to do there. You have places like Mad Tree, for example, which is a brewery, and I highly recommend it if breweries are your thing. It's just a cool place to hang out. Um, Basically the same vibe as Hyde Park, and also nearby. There's tons of shops and like boutiques and coffee shops, things like that. So it's really neat just to walk around and take that all in. Overall, in Oakley, the neighborhood is definitely a younger crowd, a lot of young adults, and so there's a lot of high energy, which is a little different from Hyde Park. Definitely a younger crowd in Oakley. So some cons, this could be a con for you, or maybe it's not a huge deal for you, but there's definitely going to be like less historic charm than Hyde Park in Oakley. And also, I would say the cost of living in Oakley has certainly gone up over the years. Because of all the development in Oakley, you could be looking at spending again, 4 or 500,000 on a home. You could certainly spend more, and again, you can certainly spend less than that, but it's definitely going to be higher than the median price point in most of these Cincinnati neighborhoods. All right, and number 4 on the list is going to be Mount Lookout. And now we're continuing a trend, if you've noticed, but Mount Lookout has a place called Mount Lookout Square, if you can believe it. So Mount Lookout is on the east side. It's actually east of Oakley and Hyde Park, like we just mentioned, but I think this one's a little more low key. I don't hear people mention this as much. Now, one reason could be that it is definitely a smaller area, but you have some hidden gems, in my opinion. You've got places like Mount Lookout Tavern, and you're also just minutes away from Old Park and Alms Park. Old Park, if you haven't been, is probably one of the best parks in all of Cincinnati. They have a botanical garden, tons of trails, and it just has some of the best views in Cincinnati, in my opinion. I would say the pros for Mount Lookout would just be the tight-knit community, because it is a smaller area. You're definitely, if you go to places like Mount Lookout Tavern, you're definitely going to see some locals there, some of your neighbors that you know. The cons, I would say one of the bigger cons is just there's limited inventory for homes here. So when you do see a home pop up on the market, there's probably going to be some competition for that home. So you're going to have to act quick and potentially pay over asking price. All right, and number 5, last but not least, I have downtown Cincinnati, specifically the Banks and Central Business District of downtown Cincinnati. Of course, downtown Cincinnati is walkable. You've got the banks, and you have Fountain Square. You have, of course, you've got Bengals Stadium and the Great American Ballpark. The Red Stadium is also down there. So there's tons of shops, and I shouldn't say shops. There's tons of restaurants and things like that down there. You've got places like E&O Kitchen, which is right there, right beside Paycor Stadium where the Bengals play. You have places like Moorline Lager House right by the Red Stadium. And you even have Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So if you're looking for something a little fancier, you've got that option as well. And of course, there's a ton of bars down there for when you're going out, getting ready for one of the Reds or Bengals games. You've got Holy Grail, Red Leprechaun, Tin Roof, plenty of other places down there that I didn't mention. So if you're looking for a place where you have tons of nightlife, this is definitely an area that has it. Also, if you work downtown, then of course you're going to be super close to downtown, and you could probably just walk to work. So for the cons, obviously parking is going to be limited. There's not really single family homes, obviously, so it's going to be condos and apartments, and of course the price is going to be more expensive. I would say this is similar to OTR because they kind of start to blend at a certain point. So you can get those condos, those one bed condos, for 200, maybe a little more than 200. If you're looking for something bigger, you need 2 or 3 bedrooms. I would expect to get into the 3 and even 400,000s. And also, there's just not a ton out there that has that much space. So if you're looking for more space, this would also be an area that may not suit your needs. All right, so there you have it. That was just some of the most walkable neighborhoods in Cincinnati. You've got places like Hyde Park with the historic charm. You've got the younger crowd in Oakley. And of course, you have all the nightlife you could want in downtown Cincinnati. I would love for you to comment below and let me know, out of those that I mentioned, which one was your favorite, or did I leave an obvious one off that you're like, dude, how did you not mention this? Please let me know. And if you're considering a move to Cincinnati and you just have questions, I would love to help you out. All of my contact information is in the description, so you can either call, text, email, book a call with me. However you are most comfortable, please reach out. I would love to chat with you. And do me a favor, if you enjoyed the video, if you could just hit like and consider subscribing for more content about Cincinnati. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.